Hello there, my name is Sixo, but more on that later because I think I smell a rat, thanks to the fine folks at Hobby Genki. And you know, as a certified Beast Wars enjoyer and a big fan of the Masterpiece toys so far, I've been really looking forward to this one, and it definitely does not disappoint in hand. For starters, right, this is a remarkably cohesive beast form, maybe the best of all the Beast Wars Masterpiece toys that we've seen so far, because there's precious little kibble going on. Like, in terms of an indication that it transforms, this is it. That is really the only tell, which is a little bit of the knee just kind of poking out of the rear end of the rat there, but otherwise super cohesive. Like, honestly, it's so remarkable how clean this thing is. Yeah, you've got some panel lines and things going on. That is to be expected because it is a transformable toy at the end of the day, but there's just no real evidence other than that and these little knees that it can transform. And to be fair, we saw some of that on Rhinox as well. That was also remarkably tidy. But I don't think it should be underestimated how challenging it is to translate some of these designs from the screen, because you end up with stuff like this on Cheetor. I don't really like this toy, but man, the kibble is all too obvious. So whether it's just the inherent nature of Rattrap's design that kind of lends itself to being this tidy, or it's just a really good job of engineering and they've come a long way in the years that they've been doing these Beast Wars masterpieces, the result is honestly quite spectacular. I also really love the texture and the finish they've got going on here. The colours are cool because it kind of shades from like grey to brown, and it's got this kind of hairy moulding going on, a bit like rat fur. It just looks a lot like the cartoon. Like, I'm always wary of saying that stuff looks like it's been ripped off the screen or whatever else, but honestly, this is the animation model of Beast Wars Rattrap, right? It's like holding it in your hands. I mean, that face sculpt is so good. The eyes, the detailing on the whiskers and the nose and everything, the proportions of it, it's just perfect. You can open his little mouth in there as well. He's got little painted teeth and everything going on. Really nice little bit of red paint on there as well. That just looks spectacular. And again, you know, just seeing it pose with the mouth open, I can genuinely hear the character's voice in my head. Now, there is a swappable face option here if indeed you want. You just slide that stock option off, and then this one just goes back in its place, and it's got nylon whiskers on here instead. And that's kind of fun. I get why they included it, because they did something similar on toys like Cheetor and Tigertron, but I don't think it's for me. Like, it looks a little bit too comical for my liking, like a bit kind of mustache twirling villain, and plus which these are going to get creased during transformation if you leave it on, so yeah, not one I'll be going with. There is plenty of articulation going on though. You've got multiple joints going on in the legs, including kind of these shoulders just there, which will fan out to the sides and they'll rock back and forth. You've got multiple joints in the leg itself and at the feet, which will also hinge round. And it's a similar story at the rear, where you've got a lot of free movement in the legs and they'll kind of come all the way out to the side as well. You've got movement in the little ankles, no rotation there in the back, but still, this is really good for posing. Likewise, that tail has got multiple joints all throughout it, and it will rotate from side to side as well, so pretty much does whatever you want it to. You can also move the ears up slightly as well to kind of make him look quite expressive, and of course the whole head will kind of unclick and move forward to kind of put it into position a little bit more like he stands in the cartoon. I mean, I guess it's not a perfect solution, because if you move the head all the way, it does start to look a little bit unnatural, and you can see a bit of the head mode kibble just in there as well, but honestly, I think if you're going to critique this, then you're really reaching at that point. And it means that you can position Rattrap in that kind of upright standing pose that he's often seen in the animation, and it just looks really good. Still very nice and articulated as well, really good for posing, and it's just a great feature. I never would have imagined they could have pulled something like this off. I mean, to be fair, you could kind of do the standy-uppy thing with the old Generations Rattrap as well, but I don't know if it's as successful. Regardless, it's only fair to acknowledge that we have actually had some pretty great classic Rattrap toys over the years, although I do think that the MPG might just be the best of all of them, especially if you're after a more cartoon-inspired affair. I mean, it's definitely the largest, let's put it that way. For what it's worth, I do also really rate the recent Kingdom version, because I just like the way that that went for a kind of more animalistic, ratty vibe, you know, as opposed to the kind of cartoon-accurate thing. But certainly considering what the MPG toy is trying to do, and just how cohesive it is, there's little denying that it is incredibly impressive to behold. It is also, by the way, nothing shy of a miracle to see it next to the other Beast Wars Masterpiece toys, because this is a lineup 9 years in the making, 9 years since MP32 Optimus Primal, and it just looks so good. I mean, I don't think we've seen a lineup this consistent in Masterpiece elsewhere. I think this is about as good as it gets. I mean, it really feels like for these last two, especially Rattrap and Rhinox, they've been firing on all cylinders. I hope that they get to do Air Razor and round off all the Season 1 Maximals, because these toys are just too good, man, you know? Even better, there's some interactivity between some of these toys as well, made possible with these little adapter pieces. Anyone with Masterpiece Primal will know that he's got this little notch on his back, so you just fold that out. And then you very simply want to tab those two toys together with the little notch just there, kind of being the bit that secures it all. And then I think you have what may just be the best display option for 3 separate toys combined together that I think I've ever seen in the history of Transformers. I unapologetically love everything that is going on here. It's just wonderful. What's more though is that if you quickly flip Optimus Primal to robot mode, you can then use the same attachment to kind of get him on the back there as well, and then kind of position him so they're sort of swooshing through the air just like they did in the cartoon. This is just amazing. Like the fact that you can actually position Rattrap's hands just as he was kind of gripping on in the cartoon, that is just terrific. Anyway, suffice it to say, I've been super impressed with this beast mode so far, just top tier stuff. But it is worth me mentioning that this video is brought to you by the fine folks at Hobby Genki, a Japanese collectibles store based in Osaka, Japan, but they ship worldwide and they've got tons of robots in disguise in stock and available for pre-order right now at some incredible prices. They also have a range of low-cost, good quality shipping options, so I absolutely recommend that you go and give them a look. There's an affiliate link in the description below, so you can get yourself a bit of a bargain. All that said, let's keep cracking on today, and of course we're going to take a look at transformation. Transformation all done, and actually it's really not as complicated as perhaps it looks. If anything, dare I say, it's really quite straightforward, surprisingly. Like, don't get me wrong, it's pretty panel-tastic, and you'll see that particularly on the backpack here, which can only shrink down so much, of course, and kind of hide away a bit like it does in the cartoon, but actually I think they've done a remarkably good job with it. I thought this was all going to seem a little bit unwieldy in person, but actually I really don't mind it. Like, it can be slightly frustrating how it all tabs into these little side panels just there to kind of secure the backpack in place, but actually these side panels themselves are really rather clever, the way they flip round from the sort of sides of the rat mode, and particularly the way this rat head comes into play. I mean, most of these Beast Wars masterpieces have used some kind of faux parts to give the characters their sort of on-screen look, and in this case, a bit like Cheetor, I think it's super clever that the sort of fake rat head ends up in front of the real one. You know, it kind of tucks away inside the chest, so I just think there's a bit of creative design going on there. There are a couple of panels in the backpack that are pretty much murder to get out again once you want to get him back into rat mode, I will say, particularly this middle panel just there, actually kind of, it's got these little prongs just sitting through there, and trying to unsecure that, it definitely requires a tool or something like that from my experience, so that is probably my biggest bugbear overall. Otherwise, I could sort of take or leave the way this rat's tail is sort of positioned on the backpack here. It just feels a little bit too obvious, like I get it's got to go somewhere, but it doesn't quite work for me. That's perhaps especially because it leaves this rather visible little section just there in the robot mode, and yeah, I'm not going to say anything about that, I don't think. There is also a little bit of tight clearance with the arms kind of brushing against the backpack just there. Can't really kind of fold the arms backwards much just because the backpack kind of gets in the way, but I guess that is what it is. Truthfully though, whilst yes, there are a couple of quibbles to it all, this is about as near perfect a cartoon Rattrap robot mode as I think we're ever gonna get. Honestly, it's way better than it has any right to be. It just looks absolutely stunning up close, and what can I say? They nailed it. They absolutely nailed it. It just feels so much like the character. Now, naturally, a big part of that is the head sculpt, which is just pitch perfect, I think. Honestly, like, I couldn't imagine it being better. That is cartoon Rattrap. Some absolutely stunning paint applications going on with the kind of two-tone gold or copper and the little teeth and everything. And there is some light piping going on in there as well, which catches the light really nicely. I do enjoy that quite a bit. Probably my only real grumble there is that the eyes do look a little bit dead when the light piping isn't activated, so perhaps paint might have been preferable. Again, some lovely colours on areas such as the arms. The paint is super crisply applied. Love these little gears and things in there as well. Really nice sheen to the kind of copper sections. Even got a teeny tiny little Maximal logo on the arm just there. That's so good. And honestly, just the finish all over this thing is just spectacular. That sheen, it just kind of looks exactly like the cartoon in a way. Not just the design, but the finish as well. Plenty of articulation too. I mean, the head is really mobile and can look up and down quite freely too. Shoulders will go all the way up to 90 degrees, and there's a second joint in there as well. As I say, they are slightly hindered moving back thanks to the backpack, but they'll go all the way forwards. There is technically double jointed elbows going on there thanks to transformation. And then you've got plenty in the wrists as well, with a little mushroom peg and a rocker as well. And then the fingers are all articulated on one solid piece. The fingers and the thumb are all kind of molded a bit like they're grasping, so it sort of works as a fist more than anything. There is a waist swivel going on in there. Again, just got to be conscious of the backpack, but it does work. In terms of the legs, I have found that just swiveling the hips out like so kind of gives you a lot more range. Just that the waist there can kind of bring those legs up a lot further. And you've got plenty of articulation in those knees as well, which come all the way down. And then there's rotation in the ankle and an ankle tilt as well, and also quite a bit of articulation in the foot itself, including the toes. All of which makes him absolutely tons of fun to pose. I've had a great time messing around with this guy in robot mode, and the fact that it feels so much like the show model as well, it's a bit of a joy come true, to be honest. All of the joints feel really nicely stable and solid as well, and it's a very nuanced toy in terms of the articulation. Yeah, you can get into some really decent poses. Now, in terms of accessories, of course, he's got his little gun, which just pegs very nicely into his hand, and again, that is super detailed. Looks really good with a little Maximal logo and tons of paint on there and everything as well. It's just lush. He's also got a couple of swappable faces, which you can do just by removing the default face just there. Kind of gives you this very freaky look underneath, and then just sub it out for one of the other two. That is so cartoon Beast Wars. I just remember the way that his face used to kind of move, and you'd just think, how do metal panels do that? And yet somehow they do. So that is just perfect. As for the third option, I'm not quite sure what this one's trying to communicate actually. It looks more neutral if anything, but I kind of like it all the same. He then also has these little hidden compartments just in his forearms, which if you pry them open, absolutely tiny. There is a little hidden bomb in each of them just there on both arms, just like you saw in the web. There we go, that's absolutely minuscule, and yet there's still paint applications on there. This is real next level stuff. Anyway, it's a lot of fun, this toy, but I think what mostly works about it for me is that it just looks and feels so much like the character that I loved on screen. Like, Rattrap was such a big part of that show, and to see him recreated so well here, it's just wonderful. I mean, to say again, we've been exceptionally blessed with fantastic Rattrap toys over the years, you know, and now that the MPG is actually here, it has to be said that this is the one that I've always felt like I kind of wanted, you know, something that really represented the cartoon to the kind of nth degree, and I just couldn't be happier with it, genuinely. I think it's absolutely amazing. It's also the crown jewel in what might be one of the finest lineups of toys I think I've ever seen as a collector. These Beast Wars masterpieces have all had something great to say about them, despite some quirks along the way, but put them together as a set of 5 core cast characters, and I just don't think it gets much better than this. Honestly, G1 has not been this well represented. No other era of Transformers has been this well represented in modern toy form. In many ways, Rattrap kind of feels like the glue that binds all of that together, just because of how strong his relationship was with all of the other characters in that show, you know, particularly in the first season. And seeing a double act like him and Rhinox together, it's just everything, honestly. That's so good! For many fans though, it'll be seeing Dinobot and Rattrap together, and again, it's hard to imagine 2 better depictions of these characters in accurate toy form. Anyway, yes, they're masterpieces, and so of course they're quite complicated and whatever else, but they're just brought to life so faithfully, so well. Just overjoyed with it all. Again, it's hard to imagine a lineup of toys as consistently good and as consistent as this. And taken on its own merit, Rattrap alone would already get a great score, but putting it together with the other 5, it cannot be anything other than an exceptionally wholehearted toot. Now, as already mentioned, this video is brought to you by Hobby Genki, a Japanese collectibles store based in Osaka, Japan that ship worldwide and have got some amazing prices on robots in disguise. So you'll find an affiliate link to their site in the description below, and you should absolutely go and get yourself a bit of a bargain. I'd also be grateful if you could leave me a like for today's effort, please, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. But otherwise, that's it from me. So have a great rest of your day, and TTFN.